Todd Gurley decided to go into the end zone. I mean, just what a mistake by Todd Gurley to go in. You know, he goes down at the 1 yard line. Atlanta's probably kicking that field goal to win the game. But that last drive the Lions had, you got to go 75 yards, a minute, 4 seconds, no timeouts on the clock. It was just honestly kind of vintage Matthew Stafford of just making plays. And Kenny Golladay, 7 targets today, brought in 6 of them for over 100 yards. He was just huge the whole game. But it was thrilling. I think it was thrilling. And as a guy that played on that 2017 team where we lost at the last second where they called Golden Tate down at the 1-inch line to lose the game against Atlanta, definitely felt like sweet revenge for those guys today. So great to see, the offense kind of get it going at that last drive, go down, win the game. I mean, it's just an incredible feeling for those guys, especially now getting back to 3-3 with a whole lot of football ahead of them. I think they're feeling pretty good about themselves.
How about these matchups between the Lions and the Falcons in recent years? I mean, holy cow. You look back to 2014 in London, that last-second field goal by Matt Prater, and then 2017, TJ, you mentioned it, the 10-second runoff. Now we add another one to the history books, Lions-Falcons 2020, 2 teams that have struggled this season, and, of course, we got a crazy ending. I mean, what else would we expect?
It's kind of what you expect, I think, when you see these 2 teams matching up. I think for all of us, though, that were watching the end of that game, there was a little moment there where everybody was kind of panicking because big throw down to Kenny Golladay. They go to review it. First thing that went through my mind is, okay, great. They're going to call a 10-second runoff. Game's going to be over again. Luckily, that didn't happen.
You're having PTSD there.
Yeah, severe PTSD with that one. But luckily, that didn't happen. Great just kind of awareness play, coming back into play. Stafford spiking the ball, giving yourself 40 extra seconds. And that last play of the game was just kind of, I guess, what you expect, out of this offense. You give them a chance to win the game from the 10-yard line with Matthew Stafford and the offensive line, the way they've been playing, great protection. He steps up, makes an incredible throw. TJ Hockenson with the big touchdown to win the game on National Tight Ends Day. So just a very fitting way to end the game. And
yes.
For those guys, I think this win, the way that they were able to come back and kind of battle throughout the whole game, battle tested, I think that gives them a whole lot of confidence.
I love what you said, vintage Matthew Stafford. That really was what we saw from him in this final drive. 1:04 left on the clock, and they are able to make it happen with a couple of deep throws down the field. TJ Hockenson made us a little bit nervous there, not getting off the field for one of his catches, to stop the clock there. But then, it ended up not mattering, and he makes the play there at the end of the game. And what an absolute bullet from Matthew Stafford to find his tight end in the end zone.
Yeah, it was a perfect play. I think when you're down at the 10-yard line, obviously, I think Kenny Golladay was getting double covered. Marvin Jones had a really nice day, which was good to see him kind of bounce back and see him being more of a focal point of the offense this week. But with that amount of weapons, you can't double cover everybody. And I think the initial pressure at first kind of looked like it was a little sketchy in the pocket, and then Matthew took a great step up, navigated the pocket absolutely perfectly. As soon as that ball came out of his hands, before you saw the ball come out, you knew it was a touchdown. You could see the confidence he threw that ball with, the velocity he threw the ball with, and obviously T.J. Hockenson with a huge play. So he's been a really big part of this offense. Hockenson, I'm talking about. You trust that guy to make the play when the ball's thrown his way. He kind of made up for what you said, the play in the 2-minute drive there where he had a chance to get out of bounds. They got to run him, spike the ball. Probably took maybe 20 seconds off the clock, but no better way to make up for a kind of mental gaffe at that point, but to go catch the game winner and seal it. It was good to see.
That's what you love to see from Matthew Stafford, that confidence that you talked about, and that is certainly what we saw from him on that final drive. I said it earlier in the game, they were continuing to stick with the run, trying to run the ball. Thought we might need to see a little bit more throwing the ball down the field. I said, let Matthew Stafford cook, and that's what they did on that final drive there. You guys are seeing the comparison between these two teams. Same exact number in terms of receiving yards. Very similar games from these two offenses. They even traded fourth down attempts that were no good. They kind of, exchanged plays there, but, the Lions were the ones who had the ball last, and that's really what it came down to in this game.
Yeah, it didn't. Thanks to Todd Gurley, why they had the ball last. I think it almost looked like at one point I can't remember which Lions player it was, tried to bring him down and then remembered, ooh, let him go.
Will Harris.
And the momentum kind of took Todd Gurley into the end zone. At that point, I think we're all sitting here watching the game going, up, first down, they're going to kick a little chip shot to win the game. When he went in the end zone, we were all sitting there saying, a minute left, we actually have a shot, only down 6 points. So, but yeah, like you said, I think it was kind of a back and forth type game. It wasn't explosive as maybe we kind of thought it was going to be with these two offenses, but just kind of a methodical game from both Matthew Stafford and Matt Ryan. I mean, you saw Matt Ryan just taking what the Lions were giving to them defensively. It kind of seemed like a bend but don't break type defensive game plan where we'll give you the 8-yard catches, we'll give you the 7-yard catches, but you're not going to burn us deep with Ridley and Julio Jones. And for me, it was kind of frustrating a little bit watching because you want to make sure you're contesting those passes. But at the end of the day, you held that a very explosive Atlanta offense to 22 points. And there was a lot of times during the game where it seemed like Atlanta was in control, and then the Lions would make a huge play on third down and keep them to a field goal or make them punt the ball. So it was good to see the defensive game plan kind of adjust to not only the players that you have on your side of the ball, but also what else you're facing on the other side. If they would have played man coverage against Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley and Hayden Hurst, you probably would have seen a whole lot more explosive plays down the field. That was a big thing that they eliminated today. They didn't get burned by the big play, which played a huge part in them winning the game.
Well, certainly TJ Hawkinson's catch there at the end played a big part in them winning this game. Spoiler alert, that will be our play of the game, which we will get to later on. But I said this as we were prepping for the post-game show. Really, the play of this game is Todd Gurley scoring.
It was. Yeah, it was. It was. It's weird to see such a veteran player make those kind of mistakes, too. And it wasn't like – he didn't run in. You definitely could tell he hit about the 1 yard line, and he remembered, oh no. And at that point, he tried to go down, and he, unfortunately crossed the plane by probably 3 or 4 inches. But that was huge. I mean, because you talk about it now, you go from Lions are out of timeouts. You go from Atlanta probably either taking a knee or trying to run the ball to whatever hash their kicker likes to kick from and kicking a game-winning field goal with 2 seconds left. Now you go from that to giving the ball back to Matthew Stafford down 6 points. We've seen throughout his career that he's a guy more times than not. He's going to give you a chance to go win the game, and it's exactly what happened today. A lot of big plays. Kenny Golladay, T.J. Hockenson coming up big in that 2-minute drive. The offensive line doing a great job pass protecting, making sure they're giving Stafford time, and the last play of the game was just one of the most exciting plays we've seen so far this year from this Lions team.
Absolutely. TJ Hockenson actually has already caught up with reporters in Atlanta virtually. He chatted with them about that last drive of the game and his game-winning touchdown. Let's see what he had to say.
Dringle.
Hey, TJ, just obviously walk us through that last play and how it developed and what you saw.
Yeah. I think on the last play, they played different coverage than what we're used to. We saw on tape that they were going to play cover 2, split safety, and that play was going to be kind of a bang-bang situation at the end. But they played a different coverage, played cover 3, so the middle was all packed. A lot of guys sitting there, and staff just made a hell of a play. Extending that play, and I just kept rolling on my route, and found me open. So worked out.
You mentioned it there that the play had to be extended. The timing obviously is disrupted when the pocket collapses like that. How much ad-libbing or creativity did you guys have at the end of that play to make it work out?
Yeah, I mean, we work on scramble drills a lot, in practice. Just being able to, continue on your routes and trying to find the open spot. And, luckily there was an open spot on that side, and staff rolled to the same side I was on. And, they, like I said, they were playing zone, so it wasn't really a man concept. So no one was really on me. And I just found that we found the open zone. So.
Tim. TJ, just take us through the drive too. I mean, Matthew's been in that situation so many times throughout his career, but what were the thoughts when you got, you look up, it's a minute 4, you got 75 yards to go. What does Matthew say in the huddle there? And just take us through that drive overall. And were you guys ever thinking that you weren't going to score?
I think in that situation, we've talked about dagger time, all the time. And I think, we obviously showed it today, and just trying to believe in what what we've done in practice and what we've done throughout the week. We work on that, drives like that, situations like that all the time. I think Matty P does a really good job, putting us in situations like that towards the end of practice. So, and in a lot of those situations, it's towards the end of the game, and you're tired. A lot of guys are tired, and a lot of guys are, fatigued. But when we do it, day in and day out, I think that really, transfers to the game. So.
Dave, you ever been a part of a game that wild, TJ? That sort of finished like that?
No, I needed it though. I needed it.
Well, describe. Yeah, I'm sorry. Usually we're down there to see what's the elation like in the locker room. What's the, what sort of celebration was going on afterwards?
Oh man, everyone's fired up. Oh, baby. Everyone's fired up. Like I said, it's pure raw emotion. Guys are stoked. We want to win. We talk about winning, and it's awesome to come through like that. So.
And I joined in a second late. Can you just tell me what was your initial responsibility on that last route, and then just describe how it unfolded? Like that.
Yeah, I mean, Jesse's going up the middle, and then I come off his butt, and he kind of rubs for the backer, and then usually it's a bang bang play, at the goal line, and I guess that's kind of what usually happens, what we practice on, and then. Today, like I said, they played a different coverage than we thought, and it ended up being zone. And there's a guy, I can't remember what number he was, but he was just sitting right in the middle at the goal line. So there, I turned around and saw Staff scramble, and I just continued on the route, and he ended up finding it, and it was history.
That was going to be my last question. Just when did you see Stafford get free? Because there was some pressure. He escapes like he did a couple times today. And at what point did your eyes get big and sort of know, hey, this is the game winner coming?
When he reared back, I was like, oh, here he comes. Like, let's do this, we work on that all the time. And, it's obviously it's super cool to, see it come to fruition on Sunday. So.
Thank you.
Chris.
Hey, TJ, congrats on the win. Just sort of clarify there. It sounded like it was hard to tell watching whether you or maybe Marv was the number one option there. It sounded like the play was designed for you at the goal line there.
Well, it depends, I mean, if they have one-on-one coverage on the outside, then, we'll put it up to them. And, if the middle's open, usually, it's Staff's read, so, yeah, I mean, he's reading inside out on that, and, but, it all depends on what they're playing, and luckily, they weren't playing what we thought, but we ended up, figuring it out. So.
And then I guess how quick did you guys have to shift? It looked like Atlanta was going to run out the clock there and kick the field goal, and they go score the touchdown. Were you expecting to get back on the field? I mean, how quick do you have to shift back into it mentally there?
Yeah, no, I don't think any of us were expecting to be out on the field again. But, thankfully they gave us an opportunity, and we capitalized. So.
All right, two more real quick, Jen and then Mike. Jen, go ahead.
Quick question for you, TJ. At what point, I guess I'm unaware of this National Tight Ends Day.
What? It's a national holiday.
When did you find out about that? And isn't it kind of funny and ironic, and just talk about being on the receiving end of such a huge touchdown play for this team right now?
This is the second annual year of National Tight Ends Day, last Sunday every October. George came up with it a few years ago, and it's kind of caught on. So it's a lot of fun just being out there and kind of just saying whatever, they talk about our position, and we block, we run routes, we kind of do everything. So it's super cool to just have a day, and obviously I appreciate George for that. So
great. Mike, last question.
Yeah, obviously the play was the play, but what has Kenny Golladay meant to you guys both today and really even the last few weeks?
Yeah, I mean, Kenny makes plays when his number's called. I guess, that's all you really need to say about Kenny. When the ball's in the air, it's not 50-50, with Kenny. It's about, it's almost 100% to him, So I think we, obviously, love having Kenny on the team. He's obviously a great teammate, and same thing with that entire receiving core. I mean, all those guys are doing unbelievable jobs, getting open, making plays when their numbers called. Marv had some sweet plays today. We had a lot of guys making a lot of plays, and obviously, Kenny is who Kenny is, and you can't take that away from him. So.
TJ Hockenson a little offended that they didn't know it was National Tight Ends Day. Pretty excited about that holiday, and he showed out for it. A little holiday made up by his buddy George Kittle. Well-deserved celebration for him on National Tight Ends Day. TJ, something else that TJ Hockenson brought up in that press conference was we finally saw dagger time from this team. They got it done when it counted.
Finished,
yeah.
Right? I think that's something that the coaches and the players have been talking about a whole lot this year, especially with the first few games, being able to get off to the lead but not being able to find a way to win. They never really had a commanding lead today. It was always a back-and-forth type game. But like TJ said, I mean, I'm sure they were happy that they got a chance to go back on the field as an offense at the end of the game to go finish. And it's exactly what these guys have been talking about. It's exactly what they've been working at now for a few weeks, and it was just really it was awesome to see it just come to fruition, to actually work. And I know Lions fans and these guys, the coaches, the players, we're starting to see from this team now, 2 weeks removed from the bye, 2-game win streak, we're starting to see the true potential that they have. And this is a group that, as long as you've got the ball and you've got time at the end of the game, they got a chance to go win. And, just a perfect example of it today, going down, finding a way to get the win. And it hasn't been an easy 2-week stretch. I know you go to Jacksonville last week, not the best team. Atlanta's a team, their record doesn't really reflect how good they are as a team, though. We've seen it not only last week when they played the Vikings, when they hammered them, but you know the weapons that they have. And for them to come out today and not only just stay in the game and compete, just back and forth type of game, but to go out at the end, find a way to win. I think this is something that this team is definitely going to build off of. It's a huge confidence boost. It's great for your morale. It's great for the momentum. These guys are going to have a fun flight back to Detroit tonight and get back to work. And you don't want to look too far ahead, but you get to come home next week against the Colts team, who is pretty good. But they've got a great chance to win that game. And then you've got Minnesota, who's struggling, and then a Washington team as well. So the next 3 weeks, I think, is really going to tell us a lot about this football team and see how far they can go.
Absolutely. 5 catches for 59 yards from TJ Hockenson today. You know who else had a good game today? Obviously Kenny Golladay, but a guy that we haven't talked too much about so far this season, Marvin Jones Jr. You saw him jump in there in that press conference with TJ Hockenson. He had 5 catches for 80 yards today. TJ, what did it take to get Marv more involved in the offense?
I don't know. It's kind of one of those things the last few weeks you're wondering, where's Marv? And being a teammate with this guy for a couple of years, you know how hard he works. You know the talent that he has, the deep threat capability that he has. And I think I don't know if he was – I don't think he was frustrated. He's not the type of guy that's ever going to complain. But you heard earlier this week Coach Darrell Bevel talking about we've got to find a way to get Marvin more touches in the game and be more impactful in the game. And he had 6 targets today, brought in 50 of them for 80 yards. And he's that type of guy, whether it's the short routes that you saw. He talked about all offseason he wanted to work on becoming a better short route runner. He had a couple screens today that he broke out for nice plays. But he's almost one of those guys, too. You talk about Kenny Golladay on one side, Marv on the other side. For a long time in this league, Marvin has kind of been one of those guys like Kenny that turns those 50-50 balls into, well, Hockenson said for Kenny it's about 100-0, but Marv's one of those guys as well. When he gets single coverage, he always seems to make a big play. So you could kind of tell today that Stafford was looking towards his way. He wanted to give him the touches. He wanted to give him an opportunity to go make the big plays. And I think Marvin's a guy who's earned that. He's been a leader on this team for a long time now, and he's proven time and time again that when you call his number, he's going to produce. So it was good to see him be more involved today and really play a huge part in this win.
Sure. Happy for Marv getting more involved in this offense today. Certainly well deserved. And then you saw Kenny Galladay in that little side-by-side comparison of the two wide receivers. Both of them had phenomenal days today. Now, we saw the Lions stay committed to the run throughout this game, but it looked like in this game to me, TJ, when the Lions were passing, they were having the most success. And we saw that with Kenny Galladay's 114-yard catch day.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it earlier this week in our X Factor show where Atlanta had let up a lot of points this year, a lot of yards. They were only averaging about 90 yards on the ground that their defense was allowing, and opposing teams were passing for close to 320 or 330. I definitely thought that it was going to be a pretty heavy passing attack. It turned out to be that way kind of as the fourth quarter progressed, and obviously the 2-minute drill having probably – 5 or 6 more passes for Stafford there as well. But with the way that this offensive line's been playing, we talked about him as well during the week, and the way that Adrian Peterson has been reliable. And last week, watching DeAndre Swift have that breakout game to get more confidence, you knew that the Lions, it almost seemed like, we don't care what your defense is good at. We don't care what you're bad at. We're going to try to stick to what we're good at. And early in the game, you saw a really heavy dose of runs. Not only from the Lions, but the Falcons as well. But as the game kind of progressed, you started to see more of the play-action passes. The run game had some nice carries, some nice day. Probably not their best day, but Atlanta was doing a really nice job of sending in safeties and kind of more exotic blitzes to kind of stop the run. But this Lions team, that you talk about as an offensive lineman, you want to be balanced, right? You don't want to come out there and throw the ball 60 times a game because sooner or later, it's hard to hold up for that many plays. So to be balanced and give those guys carries, Adrian Peterson and Swift and Kerryon Johnson, I know didn't have a huge day on the rushing wise, but he made some phenomenal blocks in the passing game. And that is a guy that I talked about a few weeks ago, and I kind of ponied out today on social media. He might be one of the most selfless pass protecting running backs I've ever seen. The way that he lays out and the way that he grinds. And there was a third down early in the game where Grady Jarrett came free up the middle and Kerryon kind of tracks from the other side and just gets enough of him for Stafford to complete the pass. So you talked about that group, and yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best day on the ground today. But you have to be able to run the ball. Even if you're not having the huge success you normally do, you have to keep the defense honest. That's what's opens up the big plays in the deep end for guys like TJ Hockenson and Kenny Galladay and Marvin Jones.
Now, if the Lions had lost today, I know a play that we would be talking a lot about in this post-game show would have been that fourth down attempt from the Lions where they ended up not getting it, handed the ball off to Adrian Peterson. A lot of criticism on that play call from fans, especially on Twitter. Of course, there's always some thoughts shared on Twitter. But, a lot of questions about whether that was the right play call there. For me, it didn't matter as much who they handed the ball to as much as it was just the design of the play. There was an unblocked guy, and that's who ended up making the tackle.
Yeah, and I like the aggressiveness. It's 4th and 1 from the 3-yard line. We've seen a lot with this Lions team that field goals are not going to win you games. So when you get down to the 3-yard line, I really like the aggressiveness to go after saying we need 1 yard. It's our beef versus your beef. We're going to run the ball. We got Adrian Peterson in the backfield. I think the one thing in hindsight maybe have been the play call itself, almost like a fake jet sweep to Marvin Jones, which normally if that's a 2nd down and 1 or a 3rd down and 1 in the middle of the field, it's going to freeze the backside defensive end. Dante Fowler didn't get fooled. He came out, just sprinted off the edge of the line and just clocked Adrian Peterson in the backfield. So I don't know if it was as much as the play design itself as it was Dante Fowler making a really good play, because that's one of those plays where if they hand it to Marvin, he's probably running it untouched for a touchdown. But he just did a great job. It's 4th and 1. You got Adrian Peterson in the backfield. I think everybody at home watching the game, all the players on the field probably knew what was going to happen. They were going to give it to AP to try to get the yard. But you can't blame him for it. You're trying to go out there and score a touchdown. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, but you're right, though. If they would have lost, that probably would have been something that people talked about. And the one thing that kind of leading up to that last drive before the Lions scored the touchdown to go ahead, the first thought that kind of came in my mind was, man, it feels like there was a lot of missed points out there today,
Absolutely.
Whether it was the 7 points they could have gotten on the 4th and 1 play if they, convert that, or maybe 3 points if they decide to kick the field goal. Matt Prater with a really rare miss late in the game, which he's going to beat himself up over. He's just that kind of guy, even though he came back and kicked an awesome field goal and then a 48-yard extra point to win the game.
The extra point was longer than the field goal that he missed.
It was, and he doesn't miss those often, so it was really good to see. You just know Prater. I mean, Stafford talks about him all the time. Anytime he's jogging on the field, you're going to the bench, and we got 3 points. So, but yeah, to go out there and not only after the ROMEO OKWARA sack fumble, Trey Flowers recovers it. Would have loved to get a touchdown there. That might be maybe a few more missed points, but Prater to come back right off that miss and go nail that one. Redemption, and then obviously go close the game out with that big 48-yard extra point was huge. So he's just automatic.
Yeah, I don't think anybody can be upset with Prater today, although, like you said, he's pretty hard on himself when he does miss a field goal. But I don't think anybody can be upset with him. He's struggled from over 50 yards so far this season, but he hit 2 field goals from 50 yards plus today. And then, of course, the long point after touchdown there at the end of the game to seal the win after the penalty forced them to kick a little bit longer extra point than they usually would. So nobody can really be too mad at Matt Prater. But you're right. There were a lot of points left out on the field today, but not just on the Lions side, on the Falcons side as well. I mean, they had a 4th down attempt that did not work for them as well. They were inside the red zone, ready to score there with their 4th down attempt that ended up not working. They left points on the field there as well. So what we really thought was going to be a shootout in this game was not quite the high-scoring game that we thought we were going to get.
Yeah, the Falcons left some points out there, but they've got 8 points that really made a difference at the end.
Fair enough.
To give the Lions a chance to go win. So, but yeah, you talk about a guy like Matt Prater. I mean, there's a reason why he's one of the best at not only, this year, to ever play football. He's got the record for longest kick ever. It's because he's hard on himself. He's his biggest critic. He expects to make every single kick, no matter if it's a 30-yard field goal or roll him out for a 65-yard field goal. He expects to make those kicks. But just kind of the calmness that he has to go out. There's a lot of guys, especially at the kicker position, I kind of relate it to offensive linemen, where you could really have a great game, but if you have that one bad play, that's all everybody wants to talk about.
True.
To see him come out after that miss, go out, hit that big field goal, and then obviously that extra point, that's just the type of guy he is. And it's because he is one of the most competitive guys I've ever been around. He expects perfectness, and he expects to be great every time he's on the field. And he's, since he came to Detroit from Denver, he's been one of the most consistent guys on this team for a long time. And I was really happy to see him get another chance to go out there and win the game. And you knew he was not missing that extra point. You saw the flag come out at first. I kind of knew what would happen. The guy jumped over the center, but it didn't matter. I think that extra point he hit, that 48-yarder, it looked like it might have been good from 70. He put some anger into that one. He wanted to close it, with absolutely no doubt. So it was good to see Prater get the chance to go out there and end up being the kind of hero. I know Hockenson and Stafford are going to get the credit, but Prater obviously with a big play as well to finish it.
Hey, not the first time Matt Prater's hit a last-second field goal or a last-second kick against the Falcons. Let's go back to that, game in London against the Falcons several years ago. He did it then. He did it again today. Great players make great plays in clutch moments, and we saw that from Matt Prater at the end of this game. Guys, we've still got defense to talk about, but before we get to that, Patricia caught up with the media on a virtual interview after this game. Let's hear what the head coach had to say.
All right. Well, I think we'll just dive right into it. But honestly, just super proud of our players, our coaches. I think everyone did an unbelievable job there. Amazing situational football right there. But, just every single play, staying in it, staying in the moment, and, just going out and executing to the best of their ability. And a lot of stuff through that entire game, but especially at the end. So just so proud of these guys. Our offense, obviously, unbelievable job at the end of the game. Stafford, Kenny, TJ, the old line. All those guys that were out there. Danny, that was amazing. Great job by them. I thought the defense played really hard. They had some big plays and some great situational plays and special teams too. I mean, obviously Prater, amazing there at the end. So just really proud of these guys, the way they come to work every day, what they do every single day in the building, how they approach it and how they handle themselves. Just amazing game of we needed every second and, took advantage of it and just really proud of those guys for that. So, all right, we'll hit a couple questions and we'll get out of here.
Tim, start us off.
Matt, you preach situational football and the end of the game there. I mean, that was it right there. Just take me through that drive. And I think that's the 30th time Matthews had one of those. When he goes out on the field with a minute or so left, with how much you guys have drilled that and work on it, where's your confidence level at when you get the ball there?
Yeah, I mean, obviously your confidence level is as high as it can be. You're going to go down and score, and you're just trying to figure out what are the different situations that are going to come up on the clock so you can try to help him out with that. But, I mean, honestly, tremendous job. I mean, he was unbelievable all the way through the game. We really had two different, call it end of half, 2-minute situations. The one before the half too was great, very well executed all the way through it. And nobody works harder at that stuff than he does. When we study and we go through all those calls and those situations, we have great conversation on the field and he's just, I mean, he's phenomenal. It was unbelievable. And, just so happy for the guys. And certainly, Matthew Stafford's, it was great. Unreal.
Thanks, Matt.
Rothstein.
Hey, Matt, I got a couple for you. First is when Todd Gurley's running toward the end zone on Atlanta's final possession, what's going through your head? Because it looks like he stutter steps and then he's maybe in, he's not in. Like, what's that emotional, 2-second swing like? Because that changes everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's great situational defense by the great situational, defense awareness right there. I thought it was perfect. They have, the defense, give the players credit. They executed an outstanding job and really very situationally aware right there. And, it was honestly, it was exactly how you wanted. So it was a great job by them.
And Kenny Golladay, what does he mean to this offense? Because it looks like even some of the plays he's making are better than you would even expect could happen.
He's a great player. He makes unbelievable catches every single week, and made some amazing ones again today. I love Kenny's everything he brings to the table for us and his way that he competes every single day. And, our conversations are great. He's competitive. He's just, it was great. It was a great job today by him coming up huge. And, we just love it. Absolutely. We love it.
And just last thing, because they mentioned it on TV, how bad was his right hand injury?
No.
Okay. They said he was playing with a right hand injury on TV. So
yeah, I think they got the body part wrong.
Okay. Thanks.
Yep.
Kyle.
Hey, Matt. Congrats on the win. ROMEO OKWARA, I think, kind of quietly had a pretty good season. He had a big game today, a couple of big plays for you. Got you the second opportunity there at the end of the fourth quarter. Can you just speak on how well he has played this year and how big that was today, his contributions?
Yeah, I think ROMEO has been unbelievable. Really, he and Trey Flowers are two guys that they come to work every single day and they make each other better. They really spend a lot of time together talking about the game and techniques and how they practice. They stay after practice a lot and they work on individual, just fundamental skills and stuff like that. And I think you can just see the growth that ROMEO's had, certainly just being out there and playing and getting better every single week. But it's not a surprise because he works really hard. This guy works extremely hard. He wants to be great. And I think that he's, like I said, he and Trey, they do an unbelievable job every single day. And, glad for him, happy for him, give him all the credit in the world. He made some big plays. It was great.
It's pretty loud up here. I hope you can hear me, but just one more from me. Sorry, it's really loud up here. Could you walk us through that last play, the touchdown pass to HOCKENSON? What was drawn up, and then maybe how Stafford and HOCKENSON kind of freelance a little bit to get it done?
Yeah, a little bit different than how it was drawn up. They actually covered the play that was designed very, very well. I think they had the linebacker sitting right there. So they did a great job on that. And, after that, again, give credit to Stafford for getting out of there, keeping it going, keeping the play alive. He found a great space to step up into. TJ for working away from coverage and getting away from the leverage and then just finishing the play. Unbelievable job.
Thank you, Matt.
Justin.
Hey, Matt, it's two really good performances in a row from your defense. What kind of momentum I know we talked about momentum earlier this week, but what kind of, feel is that group getting for each other, especially coming against an Atlanta offense that was averaging something like 35 points with Julio in the lineup.
Yeah, great offense on the other side of the field. Absolutely. I think our defensive guys, again, we've talked about this before, just continuing to learn to build that trust with each other and continuing to grow and push each other. And I think we took another step with that today, and we'll have to take another step next week. But right now, just really proud of the guys for what they did on the field today. Just proud of their effort. And, again, just their unwavering mentality that it didn't matter. We're just going to go out and do everything we could to win and just stay in there and just hope that the clock didn't run out before we had a chance to do that. So just really proud of everybody.
And I know you weren't here for, but the catch with Kenny getting reviewed at the end just brought back flashbacks to the Golden Tate 10-second runoff that we all saw here.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering, we didn't really get a clear explanation in the press box. He caught it at like 13 seconds. You snapped it 3 seconds. What was the actual ruling there? Was there a runoff on the review?
Yeah, so a little bit confusing on the sideline with the situation because then we had the penalty too. And I was trying to get a feel for exactly what the penalty was. So they had actually stopped it before we killed the last play and before they threw the penalty. So they were reviewing the catch at that point. And then the conversation was, is this going to be a 10-second runoff or are we going to be able to snap it and kill it? So that was kind of what they were trying to straighten out after that point.
Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
All right, time for two more, Chris and then Dave.
Hey, Matt, congrats on the win. TJ obviously had the play at the end. He had at the start of that drive, he had the play where he caught it, didn't get out of bounds. What's it say about him, I guess, that he was able to bounce back from a moment like that and still come up big?
Yeah, I mean, I think just staying focused and, staying in the moment, good catch, got to get out of bounds and, just to come back and forget that play, move on, take the emotion out of it and just try to come back and execute the best of your ability on that last play. And like I think Kyle maybe asked or whatever it was, but the last play was a little bit extra, kind of a little bit of a extended play situation because they actually covered the route really well. And then we moved away from it. TJ got open, really good job by him and Stafford to just kind of read in body language there.
And then I'm sure you won't get too much into the specific strategy here, but you guys did take sort of the Hockenson inadvertent one that kept the clock running, but then a couple of shots down the middle of the field in that last drive. It's just wondering where the line is for you there, where you still don't feel comfortable anymore, sort of attacking those spots.
Yeah, we have that all kind of calculated on a per play kind of basis of what we think we have and how much field we have available to us. We're pushing it a little bit.
Last question, Dave.
Pushed it just enough, I guess, there, right? A couple of things. You mentioned the possibility of the penalty right before that. When the guy runs into carry-on, what is the potential call there? I guess I've never seen that. Was that a defensive penalty?
Defensive penalty, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that. And then Flowers didn't start the game. I don't know if you addressed this earlier, so I apologize. But you used a little bit different rotation up front. Can you just explain why that was?
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't really get into the whole who starts and packages and all the rest of it. So we got guys that we got to play, and Trey Flowers is one of our starters. There's not a question conversation there. Just we had some of it depends on the personnel they put out there, and then when we put the packages together based on the guys that we have available to us, obviously being down Julian OKWARA right now, and being a little bit thin in a couple of positions, we just decided to try to some of the package kind of space out where everybody was to make sure that the reps didn't get too high so we get everybody at the end of the game.
And then last thing, and again, I apologize if you were asked about this, but the letting them score the touchdown, Gurley's touchdown run there, just the strategy behind that, and you hold your breath there for a second when he seemed to realize what you were doing and tried to hold himself up from going in the end zone.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've been in that situation before in a very large game, and it didn't work out the way we wanted it to. So I'm glad this one did.
Great. Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, appreciate it, Coach.
The head coach making it clear he had all the confidence in the world in his offense with 1 minute and 4 seconds to go. Guys, we've still got to hear from QB1. We'll get to that a little later in the show, and we will give you our play of the game and break down that play. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this quick break.
All for leaving opponents in our dust, linebackers and cancer alike. All for believing in ourselves, even when victory seems impossible. All for working tirelessly as one for the good of all around us. As the official healthcare provider of the Detroit Lions, Henry Ford Health System is proud to keep our greatest athletes and their biggest fans at their best. Henry Ford Health System, all for you.
Priorities shift from rush hours to slow breakfasts. From busy schedules to scheduled downtime. And as life happens, shifts and surprises are sure to follow. At Priority Health, we'll always be ready to shift with you, from complicated policies to ones written by humans. From a plan for one to a plan for three. Because your priorities have shifted, maybe it's time your health insurance did too.
Welcome back to the Detroit Lions postgame show presented by Priority Health. I'm Tori Petrie here at Ford Field. We're breaking down the Lions' 23-22 win over the Atlanta Falcons at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I'm sitting here with TJ Lang. TJ, we've talked a lot so far about this offense, but you heard Matt Patricia talking about his defense. What improved for this Lions defense today in Atlanta?
Well, I think the first thing that sticks out is the run defense, right? You're going against Todd Gurley, who might not be vintage Todd Gurley, like a guy we saw maybe 2 or 3 years ago, but 26 carries for the Atlanta offense, 66 yards. Obviously, the 2 touchdowns, the one who, fantasy owners are probably happy about, but the Lions were actually happy about as well. I think you could tell 2 weeks ago during the bye week, coming out last week at Jacksonville, you could tell that the run defense was probably the biggest point of emphasis for the defense, coaches, players, everything. And the one thing that when you look at the run defense, you see the last 2 weeks, you see guys fly into the ball. You see guys swarm tackling, which is what coaches always preach. But the biggest thing is finishing. You didn't really see a whole lot of broken tackles today coming out of the Atlanta backfield with the running backs. Guys were wrapping up. Guys were being aggressive. Guys were taking down the ball carrier. And Todd Gurley had a couple runs that maybe bounced outside, but he's one of those guys you kind of expect that from. But I thought just overall, not only from the front seven, but you saw Jeff Okudah make a couple nice plays in the run game. You saw Amani come up and make a 4-yard tackle for loss there late in the game. I think that's one thing that these coaches have been preaching the last couple weeks, and you're finally starting to see it show up on film. It started last week. It carried over to today. Obviously, a huge part of what they want to do as a defense, and playing for Matt Patricia and listening to him talk and his philosophies. The first thing that always comes up is we have to stop the run. And I think that the players are finally starting to not only buy into that, but execute. And a huge reason why they've won their last 2 games.
Certainly, and the Falcons only had 66 yards on the ground today, 63 of them from Todd Gurley, but those came off of 23 carries. So Gurley was really only averaging a little over 2 yards a carry. So that's a pretty good job against the run that the Lions defense was able to do today. TJ, I felt like the play of the game for this defense was that sack fumble from Romeo OKWARA and then the recovery by Trey Flowers. Huge play in this game and really allowed the Lions to redeem that missed field goal by Matt Prater. You're looking at what Romeo OKWARA has brought to this defense so far this year. How big has he been for this Lions pass rush?
Well, I think that stat might be wrong. I think he's got 2 sacks. He had 2 sacks today, if I'm not mistaken. But a couple of more quarterback hits. He's a guy that when he came in a few years ago, 2018, he came off, I don't know if it was a trade or they picked him up off waivers from the Giants. You could tell he was a guy that us offensive linemen used to hate blocking because there's a lot of times in practice, especially when it's November and December and guys are tired and worn down and you're just trying to kind of get the mental work done. He was always going so hard and so fast every single play. But that's a credit to what kind of guy he is. I mean, you heard Coach Patricia talk about him staying late with Trey Flowers after practice, working on individual, doing everything he possibly can to get better as a player. And he's been from my standpoint at least, he's been a very pleasant surprise. Probably been the most consistent pass rusher that they've had on that defensive side of the ball. And you saw it a couple weeks ago against New Orleans with Ryan Ramczyk at right tackle. He beat him a couple times for a couple really nice QB pressures and hits. And you saw it obviously today, that play where it was more of a hustle play than anything to be able to kind of round the horn and stay after it and get to Matt Ryan. Huge play in the game because at that point, You just miss a field goal. You're on the sideline saying, somebody's got to make a play, guys. Let's get the juice back going on the sideline. And he did that. And that was a huge play in the game. It allowed them to go back. Matt Prater kicks a field goal to take the lead. He's been a guy that's been a pleasant surprise because Trey Flowers, to be honest, he's a guy on that defensive line that gets most of the attention, no matter where they put him on the line, whether it's over the guard or center or tackles. Other teams are trying to find ways to double team him because they know what kind of player he is. So that opens up a lot more opportunities for Romeo on the other side to get those one-on-one matchups. And he's shown the last few weeks that he is playing at a really high level. And he's got just the motor, he's got the speed, he's got the quickness, he's got the power to be really one of a pretty high premier rusher in this league. And I think we're just starting to catch a glimpse of that. So a big thing for him will obviously be the consistency moving forward.
Absolutely. Well, Trey Flowers was in on that big play that got the Lions the ball back there near the end of the game. How about that pass breakup that he had? Trey Flowers in coverage to break up a pass. That was pretty impressive.
It was a great play call. There's not many times where you see a guy like Trey Flowers on 4th and 5 dropping into coverage.
Yeah, but who else would have had the reach to be able to – he laid out to bat that ball away. Who else would have had that reach?
And it was a huge play, and Atlanta was trying to be aggressive in the red zone, 4th and 5. They already had a couple 4th downs that they went forward and converted. But, that was a huge play in the game as well. I mean, Trey Flowers, you wouldn't look at that type of guy and say he's dropping into coverage. So I think it was just a fresh look that – great call by whether it was Patricia or Corey Unlin that suggested the play with the kind of zone blitz where they bring and they drop Trey Flowers right into the open spot. Matt Ryan probably had no idea that Trey Flowers was going to be dropping into coverage, got his hand on the ball, and huge play to turn the ball over, give the ball back to your offense.
Absolutely. Where would you say that this defense is at 7 games into the season? We saw them struggle early on, but these last couple of weeks we've seen some improvement from them. Where would you assess where this defense is?
I think they're definitely turning the page. I think the first couple games you saw glimpses against Chicago where for 3 quarters they were dominant. And then the 4th quarter, obviously a little bit of a meltdown. Same thing against the Saints, where they come out really hot, get a couple turnovers early, kind of melt down. Arizona game, stopped the run, got after Kyler Murray a little bit, put the pressure on him. I think what we're seeing is they're starting to – it looks like they're playing with more confidence and more trust, not only in the scheme but themselves and the teammates that they have next to them. I think and a big thing you have to give Coach Patricia credit for was when the Lions were playing early in the year and they were losing those games, it was like kind of almost we're playing man-to-man because that's just what we do and that's who we are. In the games that the Lions have won, it's been a primarily zone defense. He's letting the players go out there and execute and do what they're comfortable with and what they're good at. And we've seen the adjustments come. Probably a lot of it came from the bye week because the bye week you get a whole lot of self-scout done. You watch every single play. You figure out your tendencies, what we're good at, what we're not good at. We need to change this. And Matt Patricia's been a guy who has adjusted to what his defense, what they're good at. And you've started to see them get more takeaways. You start to see them stopping the run more. And a lot of that comes down to individual performance as well. But you start to see guys like Danny Shelton, who's been here for 6 games now. You start to see the potential that he has and the difference that he can make, especially in the run game. And honestly, had a couple chances today to take down Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's kind of got that sneaky old man quickness where he escaped a few. But in the run game, and a young guy like John Pinacini, who's been doing it last week on film, he was all over the place in the backfield and wreaking havoc on Jacksonville's offensive line. So I think it's a combination of the players are starting to trust what they're doing and what they're being asked to do. They're starting to trust their teammates more. And when that all comes together, you just get that consistency that they're looking for. And today was a little bit of a frustrating day where they were letting up a lot of chunk yards here and there, 8, 9, 10 yards, but they never broke. They never let up the deep play to Julio Jones or Calvin Ridley or Todd Gurley's longest run was 15 yards. So I think that's kind of something that they can hang their hat on is we're going to play tough defense. We're going to swarm to the ball to keep playing our butts off. And keep relying on getting a couple turnovers, get the ball back to your offense. That could be a huge part going forward for them to keep their win streak going.
Good stuff on the defense, TJ. Let's hear, though, from the guy who was really the hero of this game, the hero of that final drive. The Lions QB1, Matthew Stafford. He caught up with reporters virtually. Let's hear what Stafford thought of this win.
It's been a while since you've had a comeback of this nature, down, leading the team the length of the field in a minute. Just what did it feel like to get back on that horse?
Great. Close week one, didn't make it happen, and had another opportunity this week, and was glad to get it done for the guys. I mean, unbelievable plays all around made by our team. Great plays on defense, letting them score. I mean, I had my helmet on thinking the game was probably going to be over. They let them score, gave us a chance. That's all we needed. So proud of those guys for making that play. Some huge plays in that 2-minute drive or 1-minute drive, whatever it was. And obviously Prater having to make the longest extra point ever, I feel like, was great as well.
I think I need to refresh myself on the current runoff rules, but just curious, did you have a flashback at all there when there was a review of Kenny's catch there? I
mean, same team, right? I'm sitting there just going, are you kidding me? Didn't know what was going on. When I snapped the ball to spike it the first time, Carry-On was like sliding behind me. I had no idea what was going on. I thought right there, I was like, oh, we apparently fell down or something. I don't know what happened. 10-second runoff, game over. All sorts of craziness ensued. Was just happy that they gave us, rightfully so, one more chance. We spiked it and then dialed something up that worked and was able to buy a little extra time and shoot one to Hawk for a touchdown.
Tim?
Hey, Matthew, congratulations on the win. Can you just take me through that last play, what you saw and how you kind of got back down to Hockenson for the score there?
Yeah, I mean, we're sending pretty much everybody into the end zone. Hawk did a great job of working the front end line. Sometimes I can hit that ball kind of right out of break as Hawk goes in there, but 45 did a nice job of kind of just squatting on the front end line. So I had to buy a little bit of time, and then Hawk just kept working the front end line and got lost and was able to shoot it to him, and he made a nice catch for a touchdown.
And then just a quick follow-up, too, just the trust that you have in a guy like Kenny Golladay to make plays for you in the last minute of a game, really all game. But you guys seem to be building a pretty nice chemistry. Whenever he's one-on-one, you don't seem to mind throwing it up to him and giving him an opportunity to make a play.
Yeah, I thought he made some huge catches for us. A couple I didn't get to see, throw them and a bunch of guys in front of me or whatever it is, and we're moving the sticks. Had some huge third down catches for us. Was a big catch in the first drive of the second half, or I'm sorry, the 2-minute drive before the half to get us 3 points. Had a big catch there. I thought Marv played great. Danny played good. I mean, we had guys. I don't know. I feel like everybody had 50 yards at least. Everybody was involved. Yeah, and it was still some plays out there. I wish we could have back, but from a pass game standpoint, felt really good.
Thanks, Matthew. Congrats.
Thanks.
Ross team.
Hey, Matthew, a couple things and congratulations. First is that the last play. Can you just walk me through how you actually buy time? Like, is it a sense? Is it a feel? Is it?
I can't walk you through it. It just happens. It's just one of those things. It's different buying time every play. Sometimes you're able to, and sometimes you're not. And I was able to a lot this game because our offensive line was staying sticky. That was a defensive front that was playing hard. They were sending a bunch of pressures, a bunch of unscouted looks, to be honest with you. Some stuff that we hadn't seen on tape that they threw at us. And our guys did a really nice job of adjusting, just playing physical and playing hard and locking on blocks. Without those guys doing that, there's nowhere for me to go. So those guys finishing blocks, pushing guys out of lanes, gives me space to move around back there. And I was able to do it a couple times.
What's your level of confidence at this point when you throw up a 50-50 ball or whatever percentage it might be to Kenny? Because obviously before Kenny, you played with another guy that you would do that a lot with.
Yeah.
And just kind of get your gauge on where that might be at this point.
I try to put a good ball out there, and he's made some great catches. The one down the sideline, going up and getting hit by the safety was a huge play on the third down and long. Obviously caught a quick little fade there down our sideline again, going the other way. And then the big play at the end of the game. They were not going to let us get over their head. So I had to get it over the wheel linebacker, who was probably 30 yards deep, and underneath the safety, who was like 50 yards deep. And, Kenny was feeling the same thing I was feeling because I had to cut that ball loose a lot sooner than I wanted to. And really just I can't hold it forever, and just try to throw it into a good spot. And he was on the same page as I was, been in front of the safety, and when he did, he made a great catch.
Is your confidence level with him starting to get close to what it was with Calvin?
I don't know. I don't pay attention to that kind of stuff. I don't think about that. I'm confident in all the guys on our team, and he's making plays right now. He's doing a great job of when the ball's in the air. He's ending up with the majority of them, and that's huge for me. That's huge for our team. It just brings juice to everybody.
Appreciate it, Matthew.
Jennifer.
Hi, sorry, I thought Burkett was coming next. Matthew, I know that you've often said you want the opportunity to have the ball in your hands with the game on the line and to go down there and get the game-winning touchdown. Does that change, I guess, as you think about it as later in your career and maybe where you guys are now with the frustration of the losing the season? How important was that today for you to have that opportunity and for it to actually come through and you guys to win the game like that?
I mean, it was huge. It just goes back to, I would have had way less fun, obviously, if they would have taken a knee and kicked a chip shot field goal and I had no chance to touch the ball, no chance to get the ball back. All you ask for on offense is a chance. We had a minute and whatever it was, and then lost some time when Hawk wasn't able to get out of bounds on the one. So, we were up against the clock as good as you can be, and guys made plays. I love doing that. That's my favorite part about playing the game. I love this game. I love competing, and there's no more competitive, pressure-packed situation than, whatever it was, first and goal from the 9-yard line with no time left. That's what you live for as a quarterback.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Matt. All of my questions were asked already, so I'll just I'll just ask this. I noticed that you threw the 11-yard touchdown pass to TJ at the end of the game. You ran down the field so fast, you're actually the first guy to TJ after the winning pass. What was that celebration like? Did you exchange words? What was
I was just fired up. We were probably just screaming inaudible things at each other. But then I saw Danny quickly after that and was trying to tell Danny to put his helmet back on. But he was going bananas and wasn't going to listen to anything I said. So we'll learn from that one. We'll learn to count better and realize that we still needed to make the extra point to win the game. So we'll make it easier on Prater next time.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw it either, but Prater was like the first guy up the tunnel when after the PAT and there's a flag on the field. Maybe he knew where it was going to go, but
yeah, I saw the flag too and was not happy / a little scared on what it was. And then I saw this motion and it was illegal formation. I'm like, how did we get it? And then it was on them, and I was all happy again.
Yeah. Last thing, does this mean Matt Ryan owes you dinner?
No official wager was made, but I'll bring it up.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, last one for Chris Burke.
Hey, Matt, congratulations. I asked Coach Patricia the same thing here. He didn't go into too many details, but you guys obviously still work the middle of the field quite a bit on that last drive. Just sort of wondering where your comfort level is when you're watching the clock. At what point you have to kind of just force things more to the outside than you did there?
Yeah, obviously, defense understands the situation too. They were going to give us some chances down the middle of the field to get some chunks. It's things that we work on all the time, plays that we know can get us big yardage if we need it. Danny had a great catch over the middle. Skying up to go get that one. And then obviously Kenny was down the middle as well. But they were going to play, sideline-ish defense and make us, try to chip away at it. We were obviously make the big play to Kenny that gives us the chance, really. If we don't make that play, then, we're probably throwing a couple Hail Marys from the 50 or something. So that was a huge play for us. But, yeah, it's all in there. I'm looking at the clock the whole time, trying to figure out how many plays left and how many yards we need and doing all that. So I'm just glad it worked out.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Matthew.
Thanks, guys.
You can genuinely tell listening to Nine there that is a guy who loves having the ball in his hands in those pressure-packed situations. I love hearing how he describes those moments with just childlike excitement. It's so fun to watch him play, and it's fun to watch him talk about it. His emotions going through that last drive of the game, very similar to ours as we were watching as well. TJ, this is a guy who struggled a little bit in his first couple starts of this season. How have you seen Stafford improve as this season has gone on?
It almost seems like he's kind of staying more within the offense and trusting guys to make the plays. It almost early in the year, he hadn't played football in a long time, obviously with the back injury last year. But with that being said, he's still a 12-year veteran. But I thought, personally, the first couple games, it looked like he was trying to almost do it all by himself, and he was trying to make the big plays, and he was trying to go for the home run ball almost every time he threw the ball. Last couple weeks, we've seen, hey, you want to give me the 10-yard route? I'll take the 10-yard route. You want to give me the 5-yard route? I'll take the 5-yard route. And I think staying in the offense like that, it frustrates the defense because, like we talk about the Lions defense, you play a little bend but don't break. But Stafford's the guy who's obviously he's got the capability to break you, and he did that on the last drive. And you look at his stats today: 25 of 36, 340, only the one touchdown, but really 3 of those incompletions came on the last drive where he was spiking the ball trying to save the clock. But I just wanted to talk about that last drive. First pass was incomplete to Kenny Golladay, which I'd like to see a replay on that because my first thought was I think Kenny dragged the foot. Next one, 13 yards to Hockenson, spiked the ball. Next one, 22 yards Amendola, then spiked the ball. Next one, obviously the big 29-yard pass to Kenny Golladay down the middle, spiked the ball. And you get up and obviously the big 11-yard pass, just dime that he threw to Hockenson to win the game. That was just absolutely surgical from what we saw from him. And he was just I think the accuracy is something that you've seen really improve, especially the last couple weeks, which is a big part why they're 2-0 in the last 2 weeks. He might want to be careful when he's talking about Kenny Golladay and the confidence he has, because we all saw Kenny's Instagram post after last week when he was talking about, the next second contract he's going to get. But Kenny Golladay is Coach Patricia hit on it as well. He's a guy that they love. He's a great teammate. He does all the right things. He works his butt off every day in practice. And when he gets his number called, he is usually on the right side of making big things happen. So it's good to see the trust factor that those two have. And I know Stafford didn't really want to say it in his interview there, but he had a guy for a long time he played with in Calvin Johnson where he would make a lot of similar throws, and Kenny's kind of showing that he's got every single ability to do the same thing.
Kenny Golladay certainly trying to secure the bag this season. We'll see what happens there, but let's take you guys to our play of the game today. Obviously, it is that throw from Matthew Stafford to TJ Hockenson for the game-winning touchdown. TJ, walk us through this dagger.
I think the first thing that looks up is the protection. A little bit of breakdown on the right side. I don't know if somebody was getting tangled up feet-wise, but as an offensive lineman, hey, there's 3 seconds left. This is the last play. I cannot take it easy. I can't block and then lose my guy, let him run, whatever it is. The guy's finishing. You see Jonah Jackson, his guy jumps. He washes him out to the center of the field and gives Matthew Stafford a lane to step up and throw that. I don't know if he's trying to outdo Patrick Mahomes or what he's doing with those little sidearm throws we've sing the last couple weeks. But
hey, Stafford did the sidearm before Mahomes did.
He did, and he had a beautiful one last week too to Jesse James. But the one big thing I think Stafford has really improved at this year, and especially the last couple games, is managing the pocket. Is not just standing at 3-yard drop, not just standing at 3 yards, but reading the pressure, reading where the guys are coming from, maybe reading who's got an advantage, left tackle, kind of his guys inside, stepping outside, whatever it was. And we saw a bunch of big plays last week where he had a 20-yard run on 3rd down to keep the drive going, go score a touchdown. We saw it on the last play, stepping up in the pocket, kind of rolling out to the left a little bit. You knew he probably wasn't going to run it because he's not the type of guy that has that speed from 11 yards to get in past the Atlanta defense. But that's the extending plays and making the big plays outside of the pocket for him has been, for me, I think, the biggest improvement that he has. And it kind of goes back to that killer instinct. He doesn't want to stand there in the pocket. It's not open, throw it out of bounds. He's going to start moving out of the pocket and rolling a little bit and trying to give his guys chances to get open. And we saw it earlier in the game as well where he kind of extended the play, rolled out, threw the ball up to Kenny. Kenny took a massive hit from the safety and held onto the ball for a huge first down. So that's kind of Matthew Stafford in a nutshell. That last play is the competitiveness. I'm going to go out here. I know this is the last play. I'm going to go out and win the game, and he got it done.
I don't know about you, but I could tell as he was talking in that press conference that was Matthew Stafford having fun playing football, and we certainly love to see that. Guys, we've still got a little bit more for you here in the post-game show. We're going to give you our final thoughts and takeaways from this game against the Falcons, and then preview the Lions matchup against the Colts next week. We'll be right back after this break.
All for leaving opponents in our dust, linebackers and cancer alike. All for believing in ourselves, even when victory seems impossible. All for working tirelessly as one for the good of all around us. As the official healthcare provider of the Detroit Lions, Henry Ford Health System is proud to keep our greatest athletes and their biggest fans at their best. Henry Ford Health System, all for you.
Show off your Lions pride with the official Detroit Lions debit card, offered only by UMCU. Choose how you will represent your team with 3 signature Lions designs. UMCU enhances your banking experience with access to a convenient mobile app, nationwide network of ATMs, and 24/7 online banking. Plus, cardholders get special member-only offers from the Lions. Join UMCU today and be the first in line to receive your exclusive Detroit Lions debit card. Visit umcu.org. Welcome back to the Detroit Lions postgame show presented by Priority Health. I'm Tori Petrie here at Ford Field. We've been breaking down the Lions' 23-22 win down in Atlanta. That puts the Lions at 3-3 as they head back home to take on the Indianapolis Colts right here at Ford Field next weekend. That's a team that will be coming off of their bye week this week. TJ, what did the Lions need to show against the Colts to prove that they really have turned things around?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is defensively stopping the run. Being in the AFC, I don't know a ton about the Indianapolis Colts, but Phillip Rivers is a guy who's obviously been playing at a high level for a really long time. Jonathan Taylor, rookie running back, he's averaging over 4 yards a carry. They've got a really big physical offensive line. That's kind of how they want to play. They want to establish the run, and they just want to get guys like Quentin Nelson just bullying you and getting those 4, 5, 6 yard runs and kind of wearing you out. But it's encouraging to see the last 2 games from the Detroit Lions stopping the run game. James Robinson, undrafted rookie from Jacksonville, they absolutely smothered him last week. Today, Todd Gurley, we already hit on it, did a really good job of kind of keeping him contained and tackling him. That's what it's going to take from the defensive side of the ball, is to make Phillip Rivers one-dimensional, make him throw the ball, because history shows you, I think, looking back to maybe last year, Phillip Rivers is maybe 2nd or 3rd in turnovers. I mean, he's a guy who's going to give you chances to take the ball away, whether it's getting a chance interception, maybe a sack fumble. His ball security is a little bit sketchy. Offensively, not as good as they wanted today for the Lions team as the run game, but you still have those guys that's kind of their identity as well. They want to run the ball, they want to do a lot of play action passes. I think next week if there's 2 guys that probably earn a bigger role on this team, I think Kenny Golladay obviously being one of those guys, 7 targets today. Look for him to be a bigger part moving forward, and DeAndre Swift. I think he's a guy as well who's kind of carved out a little bit bigger role, not only what we saw the first couple weeks coming out of the backfield as a pass catcher, but he's shown that he's got ability to break some big runs as well. So, look, they're coming back tonight on the flight. A whole lot of happy faces, a lot of smiles, a lot of joking, a lot of having fun after a big win. Totally different team than what we were talking about 2 weeks ago. After the New Orleans game, it was, oh boy, it's going to be a long season. These guys, give credit to these guys, the coaches, turning it around, getting back to 3-3, getting right back into the mix of things. And like we hit with the Colts game, Washington, Minnesota, a couple teams that are really hurting as well. You've got a really, really great opportunity these next couple weeks to just build on what you have and keep the momentum going and win a couple more games, see what happens. I know coaches and the players, they don't care about the Minnesota game. They don't care about Washington. They want to take care of the Colts. But I know they're going to be happy to come back to Ford Field, especially after 2 pretty long road trips down to Florida and obviously today going down to Georgia.
Well, something we talked about all week leading into this game was how the Lions could get to 3-3 with a win over the Falcons, and that certainly puts you at a different place in your season than dropping to 2-4. They're able to get to 3-3, and for me, the takeaway today is that they are in a really, really good spot as they move forward through October to be able to get back to 500.
Absolutely, they do, and I think the big thing too is these guys are doing the right things. I know especially with this year with the coronavirus and everything, you've seen a lot of teams really kind of get hit hard and schedules having to bounce around and players, getting put on the IR. This team has really done a good job of making sure they're doing the right things, especially coming off the bye week, because the bye week you always think, all right, hey, we got a week off football. Let's go grab dinner. Let's go do something with the guys. These guys came back and absolutely they didn't miss a beat. Came right back, no positive test.
Looked better after the bye.
Rolled back into it, and yeah, it actually looked like a better football team, like a well-rested football team, ready to go. So credit to the guys for doing the right thing. Not a whole lot of injuries, which is a credit to these guys. I know there were a couple obviously coming out of camp, which was to be expected, but this is a team, they stay healthy. They keep playing like they're playing. They've really, these last 2 weeks, they've started to change the narrative and move the needle a little bit to kind of tell the rest of the league, we're not a pushover team. And when they were sitting there a couple weeks ago at 1-2, 1-3, you're talking about it. But we talked about it just like Atlanta. Man, they're 1-3. They're a good football team. Lions have done enough, and they've done a really tremendous job of getting back to 300. And like I said, momentum and confidence and morale in a locker room and in practices, that takes your team a long way when it comes down to Sunday, of trusting the guys, trusting the game plans, trusting your teammates, and going out there and executing, playing fun, playing at a high level. I think the one thing that I've seen the last 2 weeks, it looks like this team's having fun. You see them celebrating more. You see the first couple weeks, you saw touchdowns and high fives go sit on it. But you see guys celebrating. And when Trey Flowers had the fumble recovery today, seeing all the guys going down to the end zone celebrate, it just looks like they're starting to have more fun. And that goes a long way for your football team as well. The guys want to be here. They enjoy being here. They enjoy playing for Matt Patricia and other coaches, and they enjoy their teammates. I mean, that's just something you keep that rolling. You can beat any team in this league.
Well, TJ, certainly an encouraging sight for Lions fans today, and I think encouraging for this Lions team as well to get this win. Thank you so much for all of your insight here on the postgame show. Always good to have you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're 2-1 when we've done the postgame show.
Oh, so you're the key.
Yeah, I got to wear I think this is my lucky shirt. I think I wore it against Arizona too.
TJ's into the superstition, so we'll let him wear his lucky shirt as much as he wants as we break down these games on the Lions postgame show. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in to the postgame show here at Ford Field. Don't forget, we will be back here with a pre- and postgame show next week when the Lions take on the Indianapolis Colts. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you then.